Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host Ashwin. We have a full house today. Varun's joining us from Singapore. DJ's back in London. DJ, how was your trip, your vacation? Thanks to our listeners who powered through that episode of not so great audio quality and not as good internet quality, but we made it happen because we had a lot to talk about. But how was your trip, man?
Yeah, it's good. Back in London now and looking forward to the rest of the cricketing season because there's lots happening on that front.
There is a lot happening. Varun, I think it's been a while since all three of us have been on. And before we get into it, there has been a lot of cricket happening, right? England played Pakistan in a test. India played Bangladesh. The Women's World T20, of course, the World Cup is on. What have kind of your favorite moments been in the last couple of weeks of cricket since we last spoke? Before we get into it.
Yeah, so to be honest, I can see DJ doing the no look Hardik Pandya shot. That was pretty fun. I think by default, I think the answer is going to be the new look India T20 team, not the no look. But the other thing that I have watched is a little bit of the women's World Cup that's going on. So I saw the India Park game, and I've been following that. So to be honest, I haven't been up to date on everything else. It's just like it feels like my mind is just waiting for that November 21st weekend where the India-Australia series starts. So it feels like I'm gearing up to that. Like we got the trophy in the bag and that's the next big thing. But yeah, it's been good to have some cricket back.
Yeah, we do have to talk about, Varun, before we wrap, remind me in case I forget, that we may be playing that game with a different captain, or at least a stand-in captain for a little bit, because Rohit has indicated he may miss that first test for personal reasons.
Oh, I missed that, really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. DJ, do you know why? And we might as well talk about it now. I believe
know
they're
why,
having a
because
child, right?
Is that the all out?
At least Rohit is coming this time, not leaving after 36 all out because Kohli left.
So does Rahane
So
come back
Rohit's
in as
being
stand-in
smarter.
captain?
Rahane is anyway non-playing captain.
Yeah, exactly. Always.
Like tennis.
DJ, are you surprised when I asked Varun his favorite moments of the week? He mentioned Hardik. He mentioned the Women's World Cup. He did not mention the tremendous amount of schadenfreude we've all enjoyed in seeing Pakistan make 556 and lose by an innings. I mean, did you ever dream this was even possible? And again, we'll get into all of this, but are you surprised he didn't pick that? I feel like that could be a pretty fond memory from the last week of cricket.
It's kind of sad. I mean, it's comedy, right? Like you get 556 in the first innings and you go on to lose the test match. I mean, although apparently every team in this century that scored 556 has lost the test match. How great a stat is that, by the way?
That is a fantastic.
Every
How many
team
teams have done?
Australia, 556 in Eden Gardens.
What? That is
So I think
such an obscure,
Kostov,
full, but incredible stat.
Kostov and Cow Stats
that
put
you
this
can-
up. I didn't put this up, man. Like,
I thought you remembered it. I thought you were like, yeah, I remember in 2001 they made 556.
No, Cow Stats.
I mean, I saw that game and I remembered the game where I think DJ Jayasuriya hit 340.
Yeah, 952 for 6 that was.
Oh my
Mahanama
god, that was,
211.
I don't
Jayasuriya
think
340.
I have ever had a longer 3 to 5 days in my life
It was sick.
where we just watched Amit Kuruvilla bowl.
Rajesh Chauhan
Bowl
finally took the
and
wicket.
bowl. No, Kuruvilla got somebody out on 199.
No, that was the next test where Jayasuriya made 199. But this test he made
So
340.
he's made like 550 odd
He
runs.
made
in
340,
2
but this is one of that test match, the 952 for 6 was a test match one of our guests made his debut in. Do you remember? He took a wicket first ball of his test match career and then went on to bowl and bowl and bowl.
Whew.
Ashwin, you're Googling this.
Yeah, of course I'm Googling.
Nilesh Kulkarni, first ball
Oh,
wicket.
man. That was his debut?
It was his debut, first ball wicket. So he's like, test cricket's pretty easy. Then
Yeah,
952 for 6. Anyway,
I mean,
why-
Rajesh
sorry.
Rajesh Chauhan's bowling figures in that match was 78 overs, 1 for 276 in one innings. Just imagine. That's anyway.
And the one was Jayasuriya because he finally broke that partnership.
If there's one thing you can be sure of is that when all three of us are on, we go on tangents and get completely derailed. So let's bring it back in. Let's talk about the India versus Bangladesh T20s first. Ultimately, 2 tests, 3 T20s, and India swept them. But are not hugely surprising. That's the result you'd expect, right? But as you looked at the T20s, I mean, win by 7 wickets, win by 86 runs, and win by 133 runs after that. I mean, I think some standouts. Hardik got player of the series. Sanju Samson in that third match. Do you want to just summarize overall the series for you? And then we'll spend most of our time talking about that third T20 because it was really something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was nice because Sky captain, Gambhir coach, a new look team. For the first time, I have to be honest, for the first time in maybe 10 years or 12 years, I've looked at a team and been like, man, this is what an Indian T20 side should look like. And I say that with a pinch of salt because there was almost none of the World Cup winners were there. Um, yeah, of course, Pandya and Sky were, but there was no Bumrah, there was no Jaddu, there was no Akshar, there was, even, forget Rohit Kohli and
Actually, it's
Jaddu,
just
actually.
Pandya and Sky, as you said
It's
it, right?
only them, right? So, and Arshdeep.
And Arshdeep, correct.
Yeah,
correct.
so there's
That's
no
really
Kuldeep.
something, man.
So it is completely new look, and also keep in mind that they rested a lot of the test guys as well. So there was no Jaiswal and there was no Gill. So almost feels like this was like a B-side play compared to what we're used to. But just, I mean, my quick thoughts on the team was just I was very excited, right? They've made Sanju Samson open, and DJ, you probably remember this better than me, but like Rohit Sharma was made to open, and that changed his career. I don't know. I think Sachin was made to open, and that changed his career. So it is feels like we're on the cusp of something big and new with Sanju Samson opening because he's not a number three now because Sky, the captain, is there. He theoretically, we've had so many discussions about him where he could bat at 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just feels like that little bit of clarity has been given. So overall, very excited.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, just to run down it quickly. First T20, Arshdeep 3 for 14. I mean, I think we got them all out for 127. And to chase it down in 11 and a half overs was a signal of intent at that point, right? You saw Sanju hitting runs. You saw Abhishek Sharma just going for it. Disappointing to get run out, but just going for it. Sky batting at 2 runs a ball as he always does. Hardik finished it off. So, but really, full credit to the bowlers. DJ, let me go to the second T20. India batting first. 220, 221, right? Fantastic score, and obviously soon to be overshadowed. But still, 25 for 2, and then Sky came in, couldn't really get going, 41 for 3. India has a new number 4 in T20s in this series. Talk to me about the all-round capabilities. I mean, we saw him in the IPL, but talk to me about Nitish Reddy. And just, I mean, the ball striking was truly, it just felt like when he hit it, it hit this middle of the bat that nobody else has, and it just felt so pure. How excited are you about this prospect?
Very excited. So there's two things. One, I think there was a stat that came out of the first T20 where the only player, because Nitish, I think, remained not out at the end of that with Hardik. Because Hardik came out with a point to prove, and I mean, the no look and all, it's all pretty intense for a game against Bangladesh and bilateral. But I think Hardik had the whole like captaincy's been taken away from me thing going, and Sky was playing under Sky. But fine, whatever. But Nitish, remember, was at the end of that, and he was the only one I think that didn't strike it over 150. He went normally. He didn't need to do anything. We won in 11 overs. Right?
You're talking about the third match.
The first match.
Oh, sorry, first match. Yeah.
So this I remember reading in the match report and going like, this is a little bit of an odd thing to pick on him. We won in 11 overs, and everybody smashed it. Like, not everyone has to do it. I think Nitish Reddy perhaps read the same article because man, from 41 for 3, he led the charge. Along with, I think it was a partnership with Rinku, wasn't it, that he put together? And that, as you said, the ball striking was incredible. It was clean. It was long. The sixes were not just clearing the boundaries. They were going deep, deep, deep into the crowd. It was just... And he got 74 of 34 balls, I think, in that game. And it was just absolutely striking of the highest quality. It was like he just taken an IPL framework and transported it into international cricket, and he's 2 games old in international cricket. Plus, and we should talk about this, he can bowl. He can open the bowling.
Yeah, picked up 2 wickets, right, Varun? Is this kind of the gap we've been talking about for the longest time? Is a guy who can bat in the top 5 and bowl up to 4 full overs in the T20 format? And he's 21 years old, just turned 21. 5.0, I think we're on 5.0.
No, it's interesting because you look at this side, Abhishek Sharma can roll his arm. Riyan Parag has been bowling in the last 2 3 months, I think, and now Nitish Reddy bowls. So it's a very concerted effort, right? Solve the problems of the last 10 years, and it's going to allow you to play an attack where you've got Hardik and Akshar as two of the five rather than two of the six bowlers, with another, for sure, whatever the final T20 squad we go to, let's say in the next World Cup, you are looking at two people who can bowl additional, right? So it is very, very valuable in my opinion. I also want to call out like a friend of mine who's been on the podcast, Rohan. He is so in favor of Nitish Reddy that he was kind of telling me that this guy's going to travel to Australia and stuff, and I was like bullshit, and I like shat all over him, and even then Nitish was doing well, and I think just yesterday it's been announced that he's traveling as part of the reserves, and yeah, you know what happened last time we traveled with reserves to Australia,
Yeah, but
right?
this
Like
time
the
we have
fifth time.
flights that are working. You don't need the net bowlers to come in and make a test
Yeah,
debut.
but I didn't expect. I like whatever it is. Like I didn't expect this guy to be going as like my friend was obviously saying he's going to go as a reserve, not he's going to play the test. But I was like, there's no chance. But listen, man, he's impressed everyone. So very, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, and well said. I think team composition becomes such a big part of it, and just full credit where it's due. I think it's just fascinating for me as I try to my brain tries to process it. Is for many years it felt like we would come up short in that ICC event, and we'd say, okay, cool, we didn't win, time to change our strategy, change new coach, new approach, etc. And then we would do the same thing. And then it would happen again, and we'd say, time to pivot now. And we wouldn't. We'd do the same thing, anchor roles, things like that. Now that we've won the trophy with a team that did play kind of that same similar strategy, we said, okay, now let's change it all up. And it's just fascinating. Do you think there's anything to the approach that Gambhir is bringing, Sky is bringing, or is it just that relief, like this weight hanging on your shoulders as a nation, as a country cricketing team, and that once it's lifted from having won the trophy, you said, now we can play with a little more freedom. What is it?
I think actually the trophy that we won, we did win it by playing four all-rounders, Ashwin. We played
Fair,
four
but you still
all-rounders in
were
the
playing the
11.
Rohit and Kohlis. You still
Correct,
were
and I
playing those
think we
guys who
had no
bat as
problem with
anchors.
that, right?
Yeah,
Like it was like
yeah.
maybe like you haven't unleashed the Abhisheks and the Samsons and like all the other guys that you are now seeing come into their own a little bit more. But that strategy has worked, and we've been shouting about this since 2018, saying, "Look at England, look at the West Indies, look at the teams that win these World Cups. They do it with multi-dimensional players." We've now got a situation. I think 8 bowlers. Although Riyan Parag is testing the rules by bowling from behind the umpire to the side and doing all of that stuff, he's an actual like option just to change things up, right? And in T20 cricket, where the pace is so frenetic, sometimes that's all you need. You just need someone to change something up, do something a bit odd, a bit different, and they can get you a wicket, and that can break the game for you. So yeah, it's. I think this is excellent. It's fantastic. I think Varun, years ago you identified Nitish Rana as one of these players. Now, of course, the time has come and gone for him
Yeah.
probably, but these guys are Washington Sundar. We're not even talking about him. He's in the 11. He's one of the many guys who can bat and bowl. It's just fantastic to see this. It's like a total
Yeah,
pivot in approach.
I still think the Nitish Ranas of the world, as much as I value him, is a 130 to 150 type of striker. We haven't had these guys who have no fear to bat at 200s and in the 200s, and it has been great actually to see the pivot in Hardik himself, who in the third match, which we're now ready to talk about, was 47, I think, in 17, and didn't try to nudge and nurdle for singles. Got out, and that's fine. There's no difference between 47. But yeah, go ahead, Varun,
No,
take
I
us
was going
through
to say, I
that.
think the last IPL changed a lot, right? Maybe the last one changed it big time, but last 2 3 years. So when we're talking about Nitish Rana, it was about the concept of this kind of player who even can go to 150 today. 150 also is not enough. But it's surprising the World Cup that we won. I think people are not even going at 110, 120. So
Yeah.
it's just that ability to play to the situation. But yes, as per the format of the game, the demands have changed, and you need guys like Parag and Nitish Reddy in the middle because people like Rinku have defined roles, but you need people a little bit who have these floater type of roles.
Yeah, well said. And Varun, with that, we're going to talk about the third T20. So 2-0 series is done. Not a lot to lose. India come up to bat. And you mentioned the IPL changed it, and it was the Travis Head, Abhishek Sharma probably type of energy that suddenly, without Abhishek Sharma performing in this game, Sanju Samson as the opener and Suryakumar Yadav at 3 brought. Do you want to walk us through that? I mean, at one point, we're sitting here, 297 for 6 was the final score, second highest T20 total ever. only to
What's the
Nepal.
highest?
Nepal made 314 against Mongolia. I'm not sure if that counts. It is technically a T20 international, fine. But
Book
man,
cricket.
I don't think you can make 314 in book cricket. 297 for six. At one point, I mean, we were disappointed to not cross
Yeah, it
300.
was
That's
definitely supposed to be 300 plus.
yeah. Walk us through that innings. I mean, it
I mean,
was
firstly, it was great that they didn't change up the team or rest of Sanju Samson because this is what happens, right? Like, look, it was a no pressure game, but the way he batted, I mean, whether they were 2-0 up or 2-0 down, the batting was a masterclass in itself. 111 of 47, 11 fours and 8 sixes. And keep in mind, 5 of those sixes came in 1 over. And at the end, he actually said, "It's been something I've been working on." So, I mean, I don't know how much he's telling us the truth or not. But yeah, it's something he's been working on to hit 5 sixes. I mean, if I was working on something, I'd work on hitting 6 sixes. But still, 5 sixes is a good goal to have. And some of his shots were just unbelievable. I mean, there was one shot I think on the offside where Ravi Shastri was also just lost his mind. He just couldn't believe it. I saw some of the shots that he did, took apart the spin bowling. Just beautiful, clean swing, back lift, no hesitation. And I don't think I've seen Sanju Samson play like this for a long, long time. I mean, I have seen him in the IPL hit these kind of sixes from overs 15 to 18, 15 to 19, and just fall short quite often. But to go do this from the start, like I said, I'm just excited because there is a gap in the opener position. I don't think Gill is a T20 opener or a player particularly. I hope I'm proven wrong. But man, this is what happens. There's a gap in the opening slot. You're looking probably for a lefty righty combination. Abhishek Sharma and Jaiswal are kind of who everyone thinks of, and then suddenly the game changes because Sanju Samson is coming. It was phenomenal. DJ, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone up from 5 where he used to bat 4-5, right? And he's taken that spot which would, I think, a year ago we'd have probably said Ruturaj is the natural successor to that right-handed opener spot to Rohit, but he's just leapfrogged it just with his class. And remember, he was under pressure. He didn't score runs in the first game. Well, he scored a few runs, 20 odd in the first game. He got a duck in the second game, or very few runs in the second game. He was under pressure from the Sri Lanka series. And Sanju's always been a victim of how good he looks when he's smashing it everywhere, right? So it was really good to see. And the striking, man. And we talked about Nitish Reddy being great. This was a
This
different
was
kind of like language,
this
just
was like almost like conventional cricket but
just
done in a T20
even that
format.
5 6s wala over, right? Like it was just proper cricketing shots.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just kept his head down, kept hitting the ball down the ground, and the last one was shot and he hit it for 6 over mid wicket. It's just classic batting, just unbelievable, and a
But
great
so one
celebration
question,
also. Sorry.
what happens from here? Like given Sanju Samson's history, the next T20 he won't play, right? That's just how Sanju Samson's life has gone. It's a really tough one because when Rishabh Pant is available,
But with Sanju, right, like what I'll say there, and Ashwin, you should also chip in, is it's a little bit with what happened with Rohit Sharma in Test matches. You bat him down the order. He comes in a situation. He plays a situation. He plays a shot which he would get away with by playing if he played it top of the order. And everybody's on his back saying, "Why did you play like that? Why you don't have temperament?" All of this stuff. Rohit goes to 0 for 0. It frees up his mind in Test cricket, and he's done the best thing. There's a little bit of that with Sanju Samson as well because he used to come in at number 4, and if India were 29 for 2, and he tried to hit a big shot and got out in 29 for 3, like, why did you do that? Why don't you have the temperament? Or if India was 100 and something for 2, it required you to play that situation. Some players just, and if he, like in the second game, he chipped one up in the air of Mustafiz and it was done, right? So it's almost better for him to come out like that. So if he fails, and that's fine. Like it's not like he's gone down swinging.
yeah. I think the other thing is, Varun, you were mentioning this about the lead up to the next World Cup. Sanju's 29. The next World Cup's in 2026, and it's at home in India, right? So as you think about the looking to the post Virat, post Rohit, post Jadeja kind of era in T20 internationals, it wouldn't surprise me if, to your point, they're trying to tell the Gills of the world. Maybe Jaiswal is different, but Gill specifically, that we want you to be Test and ODI captain. Period.
yeah, I
And
think they should.
And so the question then becomes Jaiswal, Abhishek, and Samson. And I think it's just fine if you have three guys fighting for those two openings. But that's kind of what you need. So I think it could be very, very interesting. DJ, very quickly, Hardik Pandya made 37 of 16, I think, in the first match, 47 of 17
Great
here, and
catch
still
as
went
well
for
in the
some
first
big shots.
match.
Phenomenal catch. I mean, I didn't realize how tall was it Rashad Hussain is. It was the game was done by that point. So we did, but he jumped, phenomenal catch. And yeah, but how great is it to see Rayan came in, no fear, 34 of 13. Hardik came in, no fear. And Rinku actually hit a six off the last ball. Otherwise, that 20th over was pretty good.
Yeah.
How how is Hardik involved as a cricketer for you? Is he enjoying this role of no fear kind of cricket? Is he enjoying being the guy who can play with the older crew in Virat, Rohit, etc., and who can hang with the younger guys, if you will, in terms of his ability to just ball strike?
So I think so. It was great to see him hitting those sixes again because he'd gone into the kind of that anchor role playing Gujarat Titans, and he it was great to see him hitting over the offside. His offside batting was actually amazing off the back foot as well as off the front foot. He was smoking them over the offside. He's always been good over the leg side, but I felt like, and I spoke about this a little while ago, but I think he had a point to prove. And it looked like that he'd come out with that intensity. Yes, it's Bangladesh, right? But he'd come out with that intensity because I don't think he played the Sri Lanka series, maybe. I can't remember whether he did or not, but I think he didn't.
I
But
mean, I think everyone did because this was Gambhir's first series.
they did.
Kohli flew down from London
But
for
that's the
that.
ODI series, right? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
Okay.
even T20.
T20.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but this felt like he had something to prove there, and it was the no look, it was the catching, he was in it with the ball. It was fantastic, and as you said, Riyan Parag, man, like that guy's shown us what he can do in the IPL. Again, the question was, can he translate that onto the international stage? Massive sixes. And it's what Sky said at the end of the third T20. Like, you play for the team. You're not playing for your individual milestones. So these guys, as you say, he got out 47, right? Pandya in the last. He could have knocked it around and got his 50. But that's not the ethos that is there in this team at all. And that's good to see. And I think there's a bit of Gambhir in that, saying you put the team first and then everything else comes after that. So, yeah, it's a Bangladesh series. So I don't want to like sound
Sure. Yeah.
too excited, and I also don't want to sound like that we're dissing the Bangladesh side. They're a very good side. They had a bit of a tough tour, but they're quite far behind in the T20 game. That said, India just did whatever they wanted to do with this
I think
series.
regardless of the team, 297 against a top 10 country in the world, like it's unless you're playing a much smaller, much newer side, is incredible.
It
Not
doesn't
a lot
help
to
when
say
you
about.
lose a first ball wicket to Mayank Yadav either. That's the other one we should talk about.
Yeah, Varun, quickly on Mayank then, right? Picked up two wickets. Just looked like he was going about his business. Just looked like he's back from injury. It looked to me like he was working incredibly hard. Now, I don't know if he's yet done what it takes to avoid injury and make himself not injury prone, but a couple of wickets in each of the games looked good. And then a quick shout out for Bishnoi, picked up three wickets in his first game back and got to 50 T20 international wickets, which is just shows you the class and caliber, even though he's not typically the first name we think of on the team sheet.
Yeah, but Mayank Yadav, I was very happy to see him. The thing is, he started off with a maiden, which was beautiful. But I think what was very interesting is that they kept showing his previous IPL speeds, and it was showing 150, 153, 154, and he was bowling at 137, 140, 142. So it takes time, and there are very few 150 plus bowlers who bowl every ball at 150. Like Sherman Bretley, yes, but even after that, I can't recall too many of them who are consistent. So it's important he focuses on the fitness, focuses on the line and length, understanding the game, and then when you have that tearaway speed ability, then surprise the batsman with that, rather than probably bowling every ball at 155. So I was very very excited to see that and to see him back. I think he's a talent that Gautam Gambhir found in Lucknow as well, probably a couple of years back. So it is, yeah, it's really good to see. And Bishnoi, again, you said it best. I think he should be one of the first names on the sheet. I love the guy, but he's not, and that's because it just shows you the talent we have. Like Kuldeep and Akshar are still our top two bowlers, I think, in the next 2 years. So Bishnoi will have to wait a little bit, but I think you can see, like, when he was compared to like Rahul Chahars and the world, you can see that he has stepped up, and I think he's been given some opportunities. You just need to keep going. I always say, like, Akshar was never the first name on the list, and today Akshar is the first name on every list, I would say, right? So there's a time, but Akshar put in the effort. I think people like Ravi Bishnoi and other youngsters just have to put in the time, and they will get there.
Yeah, very well said. Good series overall. Nice to see Gambhir get a win under his belt. Nice to see the captaincy of Sky, kind of the cricket they're playing with freedom. We're going to take a very quick break and we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the women and New Zealand and England versus Pakistan. So don't go anywhere. This is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, give us a 5-star rating. We always love to hear from you. We are at One Tip One Hand on all the socials, etc. I did not mention, by the way, we haven't yet talked too much about the Women's T20 World Cup because the only time slot we were able to record this is actually during the game. So if you see all of us kind of peering over to the right, we have the India-Australia game on, and it makes me nervous. Guys, I think at this point, even with a win, the delta between the margin of a win over New Zealand versus Pakistan, which is going to happen tomorrow, makes qualification look very tricky against Australia. Equivalently, with a loss, as long as it's very close, if Pakistan does us a favor and beats New Zealand, we still have a shot. So tricky on the Women's World Cup, which is why we're not talking about it more, but we will talk it more at our next episode. Varun, let's talk about the India versus New Zealand upcoming series. Test cricket is back, and we were like, okay, cool, the T20 ended. Next week, we'll do a preview. Actually, it starts in 3 days' time. It is the most unfortunate, as I've said, for me, being in my time zone in the US, that the game starts at 11 p.m., which means right about as I go to bed and right as I wake up, the last ball is bowled. So I don't get a chance to watch a lot of these in real time. But let's talk through the squad. Fairly similar to the last kind of Bangladesh squad we just played a couple of test matches against, right? As I think about it, do you want to run down that? And is the main disappointment the lack of Mohammad Shami being back?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that he may not even be ready for Australia, right?
That's what I've heard, yeah.
That is very, very disappointing because you need, like, it's one of the toughest tours, right? And you need your top guys to be there. So I am actually quite upset about that. But let's go through the squad. Like you said, it's very, very, very similar to the squad that we've just seen for the test against Bangladesh. I think just my guess is this is probably 90% of the squad that is going to go to Australia. You may see one or two names thrown up there, but starting off with your Rohit and Jaiswal, and I think both of them have done a phenomenal job, so no questions there. 3 Shubman Gill, 4 Kohli, and 5 Pant, right? Absolutely no question. I don't think there's any debate about this lineup. Now,
Yeah, so let's pause there then. Top 5, I don't think any debate. Number 6, right?
Yeah,
you now have three options essentially, right? Between Rahul, who played, or again 5, 6, where they walk in is kind of irrelevant, but that 6th slot, Rahul, Sarfaraz, who's in the squad and arguably deserves it, and Dhruv Jurel. DJ, do you have a point of view? I think Jurel is probably the third of those names, and who walks in that first test, which I think is in Bangalore.
Rahul's got 15 in his last 8 test innings. You're not going to drop.
Yeah, but according to Varun's logic about Samson, that doesn't matter that much, right?
I don't know. Rahul's is a Gautam Gambhir boy from Lucknow as well, so let's not forget that. They have a working relationship. He is the incumbent. It'd be hard for us to drop him. I suspect he's being looked at number 6 for Australia. He hasn't done great in Australia. Sarfaraz is excellent on home pitches. We saw him make his debut. It was exciting, but this is all being done with the one eye on the Border Gavaskar Trophy, I feel. Also, Varun, by the way, the Shami thing, I think that he's come out and said that it's a baseless rumor that he may not be playing the BGT.
Oh, good.
On his own Twitter, so at least there's some... No, but I think Rahul is the top in those 3 names. And I do feel a bit for Dhruv Jurel, man. He played an incredible knock during that England series. Dug us out from a massive hole, that 90 that he got. But those are the riches that you have, right? I mean, I would actually say I would rather give Dhruv Jarrell a shout before Sarfaraz because Jarrell looks technically a better player.
I, I was gonna say the same thing. Sarfraz is not proven outside, and didn't he go back after this game and play a local series and hit 100?
Yeah, he made a
Like
double, right?
a double, like one day after the Bangladesh last test where he didn't get to bat. So I think he's doing the right things, but I agree with DJ. Like I would put KL ahead of Sarfraz, and I just worry a little bit about this Australian.
Because
Like get him, don't play him in that first test, right, in Australia, for example. Sorry.
But here's the question, right? DJ, you mentioned it, so I pulled out his stats. Rahul averages 20 in 9 innings in Australia, including a century he made in Sydney. Right? So when you back that out, outside of that century, his average must be 10, 11 or something. Like, is that enough to now? Granted, his
Middle order Rahul versus.
yeah, fair. I don't have the positions he batted at in front of me, but I think that could.
technically he's proven himself in England, right? He's got 100 at Lords. He's a class player. He's done the work that he's needed to do. It's difficult to argue that KL Rahul doesn't have ability. That ability has to be translated into runs. He's got the technique. He's
Fair.
got
Yeah.
so I think Rahul will play. I wouldn't mind seeing Jurel play one of the three test matches because if you're giving him, if he's a backup keeper, right? That's what he is. You want him to have a little bit of game time. So I don't know whether he'll get a shout, but I think it's Rahul, then Jurel, then maybe Sarfraz, and depending on injuries. I think if say for Rahul got injured, I think they'd play Jurel before they play Sarfraz.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting. And then Varun, it's interesting as you think about prepping for the Australia series, but then how we think about bowlers as you go to 7 through 11 in India versus away, right? So in the Bangladesh series, you saw Siraj, Bumrah, and Akashdeep all play. How do you think about 7 through 11 against New Zealand, and or again with one eye on the Border Gavaskar Trophy, as DJ said?
So look, Jaddu's definitely 7. So there's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
8 to 11.
Fair.
Is the real question. In
I think
India,
Ash
again,
is definitely 8 to be clear.
there's no question, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what I was gonna say. Ash is definitely 8, especially
Yeah.
in India. I don't know what Gambhir's view is. Gambhir is very pro Ashwin, and I, 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 I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in Australia. Like I don't know if they're going to go with 4 pace or 3 pace, but I do think Ashwin has the ability to bat at 8 and bowl in Australia. So for me, it is going to be Ashwin. Now, obviously, some pitches like Sydney and stuff, you would definitely play him. At a Perth, for example, first test,
Mayank
I
Yadav.
just don't know. Yeah, again, bring in Mayank Yadav in the middle. But but it's definitely a toss up between Ashwin and a pacer, and then you're going to play Bumrah and Siraj if Shami's not there. If Shami's there, I think you play Bumrah, Siraj, and Shami. But I am quite excited to see like an Akashdeep to come through.
Yeah, now I don't want to. We will talk about the Australia series in a little bit, but a couple of weeks ago, you saw Hardik Pandya bowling in nets with a red ball, right? I don't think it's happening. But is there a world where he's trying to fight for that 6th spot so that you can play Ash and Jaddu and 3 other quick, so you have 4 quick bowling options plus the 2 spin. Anyway, just putting that out there. I might be wrong. Maybe those rumors were all fake, but there were some visuals that did the rounds of him bowling with a red ball. Right. DJ, first test is at Bangalore. 3 test matches. Quick prediction on this one before we pivot and go to our final couple topics. We haven't talked at all about New Zealand. We've just talked about the India side.
Yeah,
But
right.
they're a good team.
They're okay. They lost in Sri Lanka, didn't they? They got some
They did.
pretty tough turning tracks in Sri Lanka. I think Sri Lanka won 2-0 maybe against New Zealand. And they are, by the way, have got a serious bid to the World Test Championship final. Sri Lanka are gunning for that second or first
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah, Sri Lanka beat them by an innings.
We are all behind Sri Lanka to make it. Can you imagine India, Sri Lanka, and Lords?
And Lords.
DJ will be flying down for that.
Yeah.
Therefore, you guys are always welcome. I think there's the captain. Is he Saudi? Saudi, their captain? Because he was captaining their test side for a while. But he hasn't
So
done
I
anything.
don't actually know who their captain is, but they have announced that Williamson is likely to be late to to India because of groin injury. I think it was.
Maybe he was that T20 ODI captain. Okay, but
Let me see
that's
who captained on the fly. Who captained them
So
against
they
Sri
haven't
Lanka?
actually got like I'm quickly also checking
Yeah,
the
correct. Tim Southee captained them against Sri Lanka.
but
yeah. So did he take
in
any
the
wickets?
second and third test it says Tom Latham is the captain.
Ah, okay,
But in the
Yes.
first test, surprisingly, there's no C name against the squad.
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, but
Interesting.
listen, New Zealand always overachieve wherever they go in most cases. Like last time, they Ajaz Patel took 10 wickets against India in an innings, right? So who would have seen that coming? Tom Latham has done well against India. He's got runs. Kane is a class act. I mean, I'm gonna say 2-0. I suspect there'll be a draw somewhere because people will just bat.
Varun, what about you?
Two
Quick
zero to
prediction:
India.
2-0 from DJ.
3-0.
3-0. I'm gonna say 2-0 as well. All right, guys, we have to talk about it. I mentioned it earlier. I would love your quick reactions, but then your point of view, and I'm going to run through it very quickly. Varun, 556 by Pakistan in the first innings of a Test match. 3 centurions. South Shakil made 82. I mean, at this point, almost at the end of day 2, and therefore dismissed for 556. What is going through your mind as an England side, as an England skipper, and Ollie Pope? And by the way, then Ollie Pope comes out and gets out of the 8th ball of the innings as the captain. So you're thinking 4-for-1 with a 552-run deficit. Just walk me through this. I mean, I'm out of
I mean,
words.
the thing is, when there was 556, the only thing that was going on in my head is, oh my god, I don't want to see Joe Root bat again for so long because he's just been the dominant Test batsman over the last 4 years. But when it was 556, I was pretty clear that they're going to get close. And I think it's going to be a draw. And just the nature of the pitch, right? Like, seriously, before DJ gave us that stat, 556 is not something you expect to lose. Now, it was like a lot of comments about the pitch were that it was like a road. And Harry Brook and Joe Root, like triple century, just took them apart. And I think they went at an incredible strike rate as well. Do you remember what it was? Like 800 in how many overs?
150 overs, so just under
Yeah.
6 runs an over, with
Yeah.
Harry Brook strike rate at almost 100.
I mean,
For 322 balls to strike at almost 100, at almost to run a ball is
But it's
just
not even the fastest triple century.
triple.
Varun, do you know who that record
is it the
belongs to?
Sultan of Multan?
The Sultan of Multan.
Sultan of Malton. Malton may be worse than Asian Kish.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that guy. But
Viru.
still, dude, like
King Viru.
300 and then I switched off the game again, right? Switched off from the game because I was like 800,
Out
they're
of
going to come and make
disgust.
400 and the game is just going to finish.
267.
And then my friend starts messaging me saying, dude, they're going to lose this. They're going to lose this. And I was just like, what? No, but it was like 4 down, then 6 down. And then the day ended and you're like, this game is done. How did Pakistan do this? All they had to do was just bat
Dude,
it
it
out.
was awful. Like after I think the third day or whatever, when Brook and Root were batting, and Pakistan were still like 200-300 runs ahead of the game. It looked like they were 200-300 runs behind. It was actually it was appalling. And then there was this one ball where I think it was an umpire's call on wickets hitting, and Naseem Shah went up in review, and you're just like, dude, that Root was on 162 then. He then went and added another 100 runs to his score. Harry broke I mean, it was it's insane. Also, Harry Brook had more runs in Pakistan than in England. Do you know this?
Yeah.
What a
That's really
stat!
Yeah, it is actually.
Unbelievable.
I have to look this up. That's
Did they go
unbelievable.
recently, previously
They were
as
like
well?
2
Like
years
last
ago, I
year?
want to say.
2 years. Usually
Harry
it's
Brook
a 4-year cycle, but
has 1,875 Test runs total. He has played 21 innings in England for his 761, and 6 innings in Pakistan for his 785. That is Magnificent stats, right? I love that. That is outstanding.
And that spinner didn't even turn up. The Pakistan spinner didn't turn up on day 4. He's like, bhai, I've bowled too much. I'm feeling sick. Chutti. He had a sickie.
Yeah, he
High
didn't
fever.
bat, right?
Sir,
Yeah.
high fever. Sorry. So we should laugh.
Right.
It's okay.
I hope all is well. I think that brings us to a wrap, guys. Great to talk about good Bangladesh series, exciting New Zealand series coming up. At the time of us recording this, Australia has wrapped their first innings of the women's team against India with 151 for 8. So I am not optimistic, including a last ball 6, which was not great. So I'm not very optimistic. I'm hoping. Listen, I'm going to hope, but it's not looking good for India either to chase this down or to do so in a way that preserves net run rate
Shefali
superior
and
to the
Smriti.
gap.
Let's
But
go.
listen, anything is possible. Hopefully, by the
Hard
time you hear this,
monster.
you'll think we were wrong and we're too negative, and I'm fine with that because it means the spot in the semifinals. That would be
And
ideal.
Varun is like, I'm going to sleep. Thanks.
No,
Yeah.
I'm going to actually watch this. I'm going to wait for Harmaima. Harmaima. The minute
Harmaima.
Harmaima gets out, then I'm off.
Maybe it's for the best that all three of us haven't been on too many episodes together recently. That brings us to a wrap. As Varun tunes out to go watch Harpaima. Thank you everybody for listening. This has been the Edges of the Latest Cricket Podcast. We are at One Tip One Hand on all the social medias. One Tip One Hand at gmail.com if you want us. Again, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button. Leave us a comment. We read every single one. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back next week. See you then.
Give us a no-look like.